All right. Good morning, everyone. It's Smirk. There was a request to do a video on while you're in war attacking for econ, basically. Um, so before I get into looking at targets, first and foremost, the strategy is of the highest importance. So if it's in the orders to attack a specific target, that's more likely because, the war leaders or the people in charge of strategy have already thought about these things and are sending you to do these attacks for whatever the reason is. If you're trying to hurt the econ, then maybe those attacks are for peasant control, you know, or whatever the reason may be, like massacres for night strikes and so on and so forth. Um, Now, basically, what you want to do is you go to the Intel site, and I chose now to make this video because we have recent intel on the enemy provinces. When you're considering attacking a province and you're not sure what to do, and maybe you're like on some kind of like max gains order, but you still want to do the most damage that you can do, right? So let's say you're 45K net worth, and this is what you got here, right? Okay, right away, I see this province right here, number 16, Interstellar Overdrive. Very close to your net worth. Now, the gains are going to be smaller because he's got less acres than the other ones around him, right? But what you want to look at is this column right here, population percent, 104%. This means this province is overpopulated already. Now, 4% overpopulated isn't very much. It's not going to really do a whole lot of damage. But the higher you get this number, the better. And each time you attack them, this number will go up. Essentially, that means they have 4% more population than their max population can hold. So these 262 acres hold a certain amount of population, and he's overpopulated. Now, it's important to consider what are the like rules of overpopulation. So you can go to the wiki, like you see me doing here, and click on overpopulation. Now, when your current population is larger than your max, peasants will leave and no new peasants will be born. So you're doing two things here. You're causing peasants to leave. This decreases their peasants. And you're also causing them to have no birth rate, right? So this is the same thing as if you were to put like a super chastity on them as well. Peasants leave at a rate of 10%, or by the amount that you're overpopulated by, whichever of the two is lower. But the minimum that will leave is 10. This is what's important for when you're considering like, oh, am I going to be province killed, PK'd? They will never leave faster than a rate of 10 per tick. So let's say you can't log in for, 6 hours. Well, if you have 60 peasants, you should have enough. You probably want to play it safe and release some just in case. Now, what the enemy can do here is they can massacre you. So like, let's say you're at 61 peasants, right? That gives you 6 hours or 6 ticks before you die off. Well, if the enemy massacres you, they will kill a few of those peasants. Probably not many, like maybe 2, but 2 is enough to bring you down to 59, which kind of makes it, instead of 7 ticks, now it's 6 ticks or whatever. But as you can see, the higher the overpopulation, the worse it gets. I recommend you read this on your own. But that's not really the point of this video, but this is something to keep in mind when you're considering attacking for econ. So you can look at the military column or this in the Intel site, or you can look at resources. Both have a column for peasants, and you can sort by the peasants and see who has the most. Right now, Four Wonders has the most. But let's go back to overview. Four Wonders is only 53% populated. So even though he has the most peasants, or she, that doesn't mean that attacking Four Wonders is going to really do any damage at all because they're underpopulated. My province is a perfect example of this. Let me show you here. My max population right now is 19,559 total population. That includes peasants, your army, your thieves, your wizards, the whole thing. But I only have 7,841. I am 12,000 or 11,000 underpopulated. If you look at the Intel site, what does that look like in pop percent? For me, where am I? That's 40%. I'm only 40% populated. This means I can be attacked for like nearly 400 acres before I will even have to worry about overpopulation. So I have a huge buffer of acres before being overpopulated, which is why when you're just a single province, unless you can multi-tap one province, you're probably not going to cause all that much damage by yourself, and you need the aid of your kingdom in order to really do damage to create overpopulation. So again, let's sort by population percent. Dragon's Blood, Ducks, Ereshkigal, all of these provinces up here, these are not great provinces to attack just one-off hits if you're trying to control population. You're gonna basically do no damage. Now, you do kill some troops, so when I say no damage, I mean I'm talking about specifically population. You still kill troops, and that is damage. But if you're trying to do the most damage in terms of overpopulation or to control peasants, you want to hit people that are higher in the population, especially if you can hit them multiple times. That's why even when it's the orders to do max gains, most of the time max gains you can hit like 4 different people, but you're really not doing any damage at all. It is typically better to focus your attacks onto one province, especially if you've seen that province already be hit. So let's say we do max gains, and let's say this person, 68%, right? Decently underpopulated, but let's say they were hit for like 40 acres. All right, 40 acres is a good chunk. That will, probably that's like 10% of his land or so. That'll boost this up to like maybe 80%. So a couple more attacks, and now you're having him in this range, right? So if somebody attacks him twice, 40 acres, and then you're like, hey, I can attack him twice, another maybe like 30 acres, you're already looking at overpopulating this province. That is the best form of population control you're going to do with regular attacks. Now, if you're specifically just trying to kill peasants and you're just doing one-off hits and stuff like that, then your only real option is Massacre. Massacre primarily kills, let's go back, peasants. They kill the wizards and thieves as well, but the biggest thing about them is they kill peasants, right? So here's the base gains for massacres. Most of the kills are peasants. Then you kill wizard or thieves, and then the lowest is actually wizards. Now, keep this in mind, in war, the efficiency of this is approximately 3 times stronger. So you're looking at 30% of their peasants killed, 22-ish% of their thieves killed, and 15% of their wizards killed. That's a lot of damage from a massacre. Now, word on the street is that massacres in war don't follow net worth difference. We've seen in this war already that yes, it definitely does. Now, maybe it doesn't as much as other attacks, but it still definitely does. So if you're a huge province massacring a really tiny province, you're not going to do as much damage as somebody that's in net worth range. Now, what else should we talk about for just killing econ? Now that, the last case scenario is like, okay, maybe you can only hit one time, you don't have that much offense, and you have a really good gain on somebody like this, right? It doesn't mean that you can't attack this province. It's just you're not going to really do a whole lot of damage. Now, let's say you were to pick between these two provinces, right? They're both 38% populated. This one has less offense. So I would prefer to attack this province because he is less likely to be able to regain peasants through his offense. Now, these are rogues. We know what they're doing. They've been kidnapping and, all sorts of other stuff like that. But, like just in an isolated, like, who should I attack out of these two? This one would be a little bit better to attack because he can't regain the peasants quite as well as this one. Now, halflings also have Town Watch. If they have Town Watch cast, a regular traditional march will kill some of those peasants as well. I'm not sure if that answered the questions, because I see I got pinged here. I think my troops are home soon. So if there was anything specific that you wanted me to talk about in terms of attacking for econ in war, and I didn't think about it, please let me know and I can add a video about that. All right, bye.